Toyota launched its first generation Sienna minivan back in 1997 as a replacement for the mid-engined Previa. Yep, that's right, Toyota made a mid-engined minivan. And now the Sienna enters its fourth generation for the 2021 model year, and I think this is definitely the biggest, most drastic change they've ever made to the Sienna. The last generation Sienna was out for a long time. It was getting very long in the tooth. This one debuts with a completely radical new style and a radical new drivetrain under the hood. That's right, for the first time ever, the Sienna is a hybrid and only a hybrid. Let's see what the 2021 Sienna is all about. So let's start with a walk around of the exterior of the Sienna, where this is really going to be a love it or hate it thing with, I think, a lot of viewers out there. If you like what Toyota has been doing with its styling recently, you're going to like the Sienna. If you think that Toyota's recent styling design is ugly, you're really not going to like this. It takes a lot of cues from like the Corolla and the Camry and the Highlander. It has this bold, crazy, aggressive design. I'm shocked that Toyota went this aggressive with the minivan. Minivan buyers are typically very conservative, but this is outrageous styling. Now, of course, it is still a van. It's still very boxy. It's very square. It's very large in the front. There's nothing you could do about that, or else you wouldn't end up with a minivan. But I love the front end here. We have these really cool, aggressive headlights that look a lot like the ones you get on a Corolla. We have the big Toyota grille here that kind of expands down. We have the blue hybrid badges, Toyota badges, letting us know that this is a hybrid. As I mentioned in the open, there is only a hybrid drivetrain here. You can no longer get this any other way but a hybrid. Coming around the side here, we have kind of these plain looking 18-inch wheels that are sort of in this chrome. You can get bigger 20-inch wheels if you go for the platinum trim, which is above this. This is the limited trim. We have our hybrid badges here. I also really like the XSE trim. I think that just gets you a sportier wheel package. That's technically below this limited grade. So if you want the best looking Sienna, I say go for either the platinum trim or go for the XSE. Now back here, again, much sportier than any Sienna we've ever seen before. We have these really cool Camry-esque taillights that kind of extend all the way down here. They have sort of a smoked finish to them as well. We have Sienna across the back, and here letting us know that we have the limited trim with a hybrid, and you can also have an all-wheel drive badge back here if you opt for that, but we have the front-wheel drive version. So now that we've taken a look around the exterior of the Sienna, which is radically different, let's check out the radically new interior, where Toyota has really brought the Sienna up to date with the rest of its model lineup. And we see a lot of little features and little details that we've seen elsewhere in the Toyota lineup integrated here very well. So we have the limited trim level, which is the second from the top. You can still get the platinum trim level above this. So the only real features that we're missing in here are the head-up display and the 360-degree camera. We just have a regular backup camera when I put it into reverse. But aside from that, we do have a ton of bells and whistles here on the limited trim. We've got these leather seats that are heated and ventilated, and these are really soft. If you like your seat to be very soft and cushy, you're gonna love these. These almost feel like an old school Lexus to me. They are that comfortable. We also have this really nice leather steering wheel. It's perforated here on the side. It feels very sporty actually in hand, so I do like that. That feels like a very high quality item. And here on the limited trim, we do have the larger center display here. I have it showing my trip information now, but you can also have it show your audio, your battery information, things like that. So I do like that you get the larger screen. The base models are going to have a slightly smaller screen. Now over here we have our infotainment system. I believe it's a 9-inch screen. It's big enough, but I'm a little disappointed that Toyota didn't package their wider, bigger screen. I think the 12.3-inch one that you get in the Venza and the Highlander. I've talked to Toyota about this, and they said that people just didn't really desire it as an option. I think people would 100% buy it if they optioned it here on the Sienna, but whatever. This screen is big enough. It's pretty high resolution as well. You do get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay CarPlay support as standard now, which is great. And we do have some Sienna specific features here. You have some features we see elsewhere on the Toyota lineup, like the driver easy speak function. I really like this, and it really comes in handy on a minivan. You push this button and now your voice projects into the third row. So if little Johnny and Susie are fighting back there over who gets the USB ports back there to charge, you can push that button and your voice will project into the back seat without having to scream and raise your voice. So that's a really nice feature as well. And not only do we have tons of space up here, we've got tons of like room. The whole dashboard here is basically a storage cubby. We do have a wireless charger here that's optional on the limited trim, or it comes on the limited trim, I should say. So you can wirelessly charge your phone if you don't want to plug it in and use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. We do have a USB port here, and we have so many USB ports. We have 7 USB ports throughout the vehicle. That's a ton. We also have so many cup holders. So right here, I've got a cup holder. So here's my big Yeti. That fits here just fine. We have a slightly smaller cup holder here. Right here, we have another area where you can put your phone. So my phone fits perfectly here. And if I flip open this little door, I've got 2 more cup holders. So 4 just up here in the front row. We've got a total of 16 cup holders in this vehicle. That is a ton. And I've seen this in other Toyota vehicles. They've been doing this for quite a while now, but you wonder why this cup holder is round and this one sort of has like a square edge here. That's so you can put your phone right here and it kind of leans perfectly. So that's like a perfect spot to stick a phone. We also have this enormous cubby here where I have another USB and a USB-C. I've got my cup holders right here behind me for the second row, and we have an enormous amount of storage underneath the center console. So if you have a big purse, a cooler bag, whatever, you have an area to put that there. There is just so much storage throughout this vehicle. It is absolutely excellent. And we do have some other things that are pretty great for a minivan too. We have the little mirror. You fold this down and now I can see who's back there. Susie, stop tugging at your brother's hair. Stop it. And you can put that away. And we also have Toyota's rear view camera mirror, which is great. So if the kids are being a little bit distracting back there, or maybe you have a lot of stuff in the back and can't quite see out that window, you just flip this up and it becomes a camera, and now your view out the back is completely unhampered. We do also have a couple of other things on the limited trim. We've got the JBL 1200 watt 12 speaker audio system, and you can tie that to a 1080p rear seat entertainment system, although we don't have that feature option. So we've all had this happen to us, right? Our hands are full, maybe we have a screaming kid in our hands, and these minivans have these power sliding doors. On the limited trim level of the Sienna, we do have the power sliding rear doors, and you can open them in a number of ways. I could pull this handle, although that's a little bit difficult right now. You could open them from the inside. That would be helpful if I were inside the vehicle, and you can do it from the key fob, but I can't really get at the key fob. Now, Toyota has taken an innovation from the rear, you know, how you have those kick opening rear doors. Now you can do that here on the side. So you see there's a little icon right there showing you exactly where to kick. And if I just put my foot there, it'll open the door. Look at that. So now when I have my hands full, I can get in the doors very easily. And you can even shut it on that as well. So now that we're back in the second row of the Sienna, we've got 39.9 inches of legroom. This is why I love minivans. They are so spacious back here. Now you can get the Sienna as an 8-seater with a bench seat back here, but we have the 7-seater configuration with the captain's chairs. As you can see, I have 2 armrests, which is really nice. And if you need even more legroom, the Limited has these really cool sliding chairs. And when I say they slide, they really slide. So you grab this lever here, watch how far up this goes. I can go all the way up to crush my knees here, or watch this, I can kick all the way back. Look how far this goes. I have so much room back here. I can also recline this as well. I have this lever here, so I can recline it as well. And for even further comfort, look at this. I can put up this little footrest here, and then this extends out. And now look, I can put my feet up and relax. This is so comfortable. I can get chauffeured around by my parents. This is a really cool feature that I absolutely love. Now, sliding captain's chairs aren't the only cool things you get back here. You also have sunshades, which is really cool. You actually have sunshades in the third row as well. But I think the coolest part about the Sienna is what you get here on this center console. Now, we don't have the one option that's available, which is a fridge. Now, this little storage area can become a refrigerator. It's just a normal storage cubby on the one we have. We also have USB ports right here. We have a USB and a USB-C, which is nice, as well as a regular household outlet, which is nice. We also have our own climate controls up here, and you can also get heated seats on these second row. I believe that's part of the Platinum package. But one of the coolest things, it's not a new feature for minivans. Honda actually did it first, but we do have a built-in vacuum cleaner here. You have this little tube here. Now, Honda would put their vacuum cleaner in the trunk area. Toyota thought it would be smarter to put it here in the second row. So basically what you do is you just plug this little hose in here, you push this little vacuum cleaner button, and now you can clean up any messes that the kids make here in the second or into the third rows. Now, obviously, having access to the third row is an important feature on a minivan, and because we have the captain's chairs, I could very easily just hop in and scoot between those two captain's chairs, but Toyota has still made it easy to slide these seats forward. If maybe you're not quite as athletic or graceful, you just pull this tab here, and the seat bottom is going to lift up, the seat back is going to come forward, and that'll allow me to just slide it all the way forward. Now, I can hop in very easily and get into the third row. And now that I'm back here, of course, we have the seat forward. I could go ahead and slide it a little bit more, but we have a little over 38 inches, 38.7 inches of legroom back here, which is pretty good as far as third row seats goes. I could fit 3 people back here. I'd be a little more comfortable with 2, but we do have some nice features back here. We have our little sunshades that go up on these little windows, which is nice. I've got 2 cup holders over here, 2 cup holders over there as well as air vents on either side. And on that side, we do have a USB and a USB-C. So if you're sitting over here, you might have to cross your wires all the way over to that side. So kids, if you're in the third row of a Sienna, you want to take the right seat. That's where you can charge your devices. Now let's get on to practicality, which is a big important factor for minivan buyers. Now, just like the second row, we have a kick here where you just kick your foot and it will open up the tailgate here. So that'll reveal 33.5 cubic feet of space. What Toyota has done here, they've really lowered the storage space here, so it goes really deep. I'm gonna show you just exactly how deep by climbing in. Just look at this. I could take a bath back here. It's so amazing. Like, there's so much space back here. It's absolutely wild. And putting down the third row is very easy as well. You can do it one-handed. You just grab these handles here and put it down. You just pull it back. Look at that, one-handed. And if I do it on this side as well, that's gonna open this up to 75.2 cubic feet of storage. And if I slide those seats forward, the second row, you're gonna have 101 cubic feet of storage. Now, the one thing that you cannot do is, this doesn't have stow and go seating. That's Chrysler's technology that they have on the Pacifica, where you can fold those second row seats into the floor and you can't remove them either. So the Pacifica does beat the Sienna here on total storage volume. And Toyota says the reason why they've done that is for safety. There are airbags in the second row, so they didn't want to make the seats removable because that would be a little bit dangerous. If you were taking one of them out and you triggered the airbag, that could cause a dangerous situation, but it's still very large with over 100 cubic feet of storage. All right, so let's get the new Sienna out on the road. And as I've mentioned earlier in this video, the biggest story here is goodbye naturally aspirated V6, hello 4-cylinder with a hybrid. So this is Toyota's hybrid system generation 2. We've got a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine up front under the hood. Now that's interesting, no more V6 like I said, and that's paired with 2 electric motors that produces a grand total of 245 horsepower. And of course, Toyota does not quote torque figures on their hybrid systems. And all of that goes to a direct drive system, basically a CVT, at least it feels like a CVT, and you can get front wheel drive or all wheel drive on the Sienna. And the reason why Toyota went to a hybrid, I mean, I feel like I'm surprised that it even took them this long. Hybrid is Toyota's flagship technology. They've been doing them so well for so many years now, and it only made sense to finally put it to a minivan. This is the same setup that you'll get in the Highlander, which is Toyota's SUV that's about the same size as this, actually a little more expensive, and the fuel economy gains that you get from it are astounding, because minivans, you know, they mostly use naturally aspirated V6 engines because that was kind of what was cheap and, you know, powerful enough to motivate them for years and years. Now this hybrid system is finally in play. You're going to get 36 mpg in the city, highway combined if you get front wheel drive. Those numbers drop to 35 in the city and combined if you get all wheel drive. That's amazing. Could you imagine like telling somebody in the 90s that you'd get a minivan that would get mid 30s mpg? And I feel like that's almost a little bit conservative. I've been driving this vehicle for a few days now, and I'm averaging right at about 37 miles per gallon here. And if you're really just doing a lot of like city driving, like driving your kids to school like in the morning at like 20 miles an hour, you might even get closer to 40 mpg, which is pretty impressive. Now, the thing that people might not like about this hybrid system, because the fuel economy gains are excellent, you might not like it because, oh, well, that's just more stuff to break, the hybrid system and the batteries and things like that. I wish Toyota sold the V6 one because it was simple and reliable and whatever. Well, Toyota has a solution for that. They're giving you a 10-year, 150,000-mile warranty on the hybrid battery, so I don't think you're going to have to worry too much about the reliability here, and Toyota is pretty spotless, their track record with hybrid motors, so I wouldn't have to worry too much there. Now, if you do get the all-wheel drive system here, it's not a like mechanical all-wheel drive system, like a big heavy transfer case like you'll get in a conventional vehicle. It's very similar to what you'll get on the Prius or the RAV4, where you have an electric motor sitting on the rear axle, and it'll send up to 80% of its power to the rear on starts. So basically, it's to help you if it's snowing outside and you're gonna have low traction. It'll send power to the rear to make it like a little better for you when you're launching the minivan in the snow. And when I say launching, I mean you're probably not doing any rapid starts in this, but I do want to talk about how the Sienna drives, because this is now based on Toyota's TNGA platform. It's the same platform that underpins a lot of their vehicles, including the Highlander. And that has had a dramatic impact on how this vehicle drives. See, the old Sienna was a sloppy mess. The steering was all over the place. The chassis was loose and flimsy. This does not feel like that. I think if you are a former Sienna owner and you hop behind the wheel of this, you are going to be shocked. You might even call this sporty. The steering is surprisingly direct. I mean, this is of course a minivan, so the driving dynamics are not ideal. You still have very mushy brakes. You still have quite a bit of body roll when you go and lean this thing through the corners, but it's not abysmal like previous minivans. It's pretty good. I'm shocked at how well this thing handles for a minivan. Now, the hybrid powertrain, it's not as powerful as the V6 it replaces, and I do feel like if I go ahead and put my foot down, that the motor sounds a little more groany, like it's exerting effort more than if I had a V6 under the hood. But that being said, if I drove this normally and calm and respectable, like a minivan owner probably would, the electric motor, especially at low speeds, is able to take away a lot of the effort needed by the engine. So you're going to have a lot of very silent starts. You're going to pull away from traffic silently on the electric motor, and then the motor will kick in, and by that point it won't be that loud and annoying, as long as you're not doing any like aggressive starts. I do think that this hybrid drivetrain is smooth, it's refined, it actually is really nice. 245 horsepower is about the sweet spot. And you do have some drive modes that you can play around too with. You have eco mode, you have normal mode, you actually have a sport mode in a minivan. And when you do that, the steering tightens up a little bit. Like, it definitely feels, I'm telling you, this is one of the most like, quote, fun to drive minivans that I've ever driven. It really does feel more like an SUV than a minivan, especially in sport mode. The steering is not bad whatsoever. You do get an EV mode as well, but since this isn't a plug-in hybrid minivan like the Pacifica, you can only use it at like very low speeds. So maybe if you're doing the kids, you're picking them up from school and you're sitting in the pickup line for a while, you could push EV mode and just coast on electric power. But it's not something that you could really use to like drive far distances. is. So yeah, I'm really impressed with how the Sienna drives. I think the ride comfort could be a little better, but it is quieter than I think a lot of other Toyotas. So overall, I'm just very happy that Toyota went hybrid with the Sienna. I think that was a smart play. I think most people are really gonna like that. And I think the driving dynamics have been improved so much that I really would consider this over an SUV like the Highlander. So that was the all-new 2021 Toyota Sienna. Pricing for the base LE trim starts at just over $34,000. You can add all-wheel drive to that for another $2,000. This limited trim that we have here starts over $46,000, and if you want the Platinum trim, which is above this, that's gonna be just under $49,000, almost $50,000 for the Platinum trim level. Now, how does this stack up against other minivans? So you've got the Odyssey, which is still a really nice minivan that just got a facelift as well. You cannot get the Odyssey as a hybrid, so in terms of fuel efficiency, the Sienna is going to win there. You can get the Pacifica, the Chrysler Pacifica, as a hybrid, but that is a plug-in hybrid vehicle, so it's a very different use case than what you might use the Sienna for. And I think that Toyota's reliability, reputation, and just the brand loyalty of people who buy Siennas, who will always buy whatever the next Sienna is, are going to help this vehicle sell really well. Now, the only problem that Toyota has here is, are people done with minivans? Have they all moved over to crossovers and SUVs because they're just a little bit cooler? I think that the design changes that Toyota has done here are really going to help that. This is by far the coolest looking Sienna that I have ever seen. It's still not going to appeal to some people who will just never be caught dead in a minivan, but I think if you want the most practical option that drives really well and gets amazing fuel economy, the Sienna is an amazing option for families. Thanks for watching this video. We really hope you've enjoyed it. Be sure to check out the rest of our channel. We don't just review minivans, we review all sorts of vehicles, trucks, SUVs, supercars, sports cars, convertibles, whatever you want. You'll find it over on the CarBuzz YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be alerted of when we publish new videos. And if you like reading about cars, be sure to go over to carbuzz.com or download the CarBuzz apps on iOS or Android. That's where you can read a full review of the 2021 Toyota Sienna and any other vehicles that you might be shopping for. I'll see you next time.